When I was a little girl, I used to always imagine how my wedding would be, what type of wedding dress I would wear, just what kind of party I would have. These were all the thoughts that ran through my mind. When I reflect on those memories, I realized that I never really included a man into any of those dreams. It wasn't something that I focused on. I just knew that my wedding was gonna be about me and that I was gonna look good, okay? That's what I knew for sure. In this generation, marriage comes across as an outdated ritual. There's no sanctity of marriage or the holiness of marriage. It's just marriage, and it's not glamorous, it's not pretty, and it really doesn't look that much fun. I also live in another generation that glorifies marriage, that loves marriage, that believes that marriage is a blessing from God, and that you're not even really an adult until you get married. That's like you're crossing over into true adulthood, no matter the age you are. I'm torn between these two generations. What I learn in life, in everyday life, and then what I see happening at church. So this is what led to this documentary, where I just really wanted to sit down with some married couples who I feel are a good example of marriage. I've learned so much by listening to them talk, and my perspective has changed. But I'll share if it was for the better or the worse a little bit later on. For now, enjoy.
My name is Crystal, and
I'm Matro.
And we've been married for 9.5 years.
Antoinette.
Keaton, and this June of 2021 we'll be married for 7 years.
Hey, so my name is Ricardo Rose.
My name is Alicia Rose.
And we've been married now for nearly 4 years. Coming up in July 16th, will be 4 years.
Yes.
We've known each other for a long time, since childhood. We grew up in sort of the same church circle. We've been all together for 18 years in a relationship. So we've known each other, I'd say 20 years plus, but I don't have an exact number on that.
Because part of us getting to know each other, it was really me pursuing her and even asking her friends about her. So that's part of the genesis of that, where we had to know each other and then we started to date, and then
right,
the rest is history. But actually another part of that story is, and I don't subscribe this to everyone, but when I did see Crystal and my mom was in the same service, there was something that was telling me you're gonna end up marrying her. And I told my mom before I even started dating Crystal. So my mom's a witness that I said that.
But an interesting story. Interesting story.
The original
I may have known my wife since I was in grade 2.
You knew your wife since you were in grade 2.
Because so my father-in-law, he used to run these African heritage programs at my junior school.
Black History Month celebration.
Yeah, and I remember it's like a childhood memory of he used to come in and actually run the program, and he would always bring this girl to sing. And then I later found out it was his daughter, who eventually was Alicia, who would come and sing at this program that would happen at my junior school that I would go to every single year. So it's almost like it's destiny or fate.
Yeah,
but that's just an interesting thing that we may or may not have crossed paths since I was in grade 2.
Yeah.
It was so weird, right? Like when we met. I've told this story so many times, but it's like basically what happened. I'll just tell you the story how we met. So I came home from church. We were at I think it was Western Road. We were going to church at the time. Came home from church, and I came outside. My brother and his friend was on the driveway, and I was like, oh, let me chill with you guys outside. And then I saw this guy, and he was like a couple doors down, and I was thinking, who goes on their porch and smokes a cigar? Like a black man. And I was like, this is weird. And then so I was like, and I said to my brothers, I was like, I want to know who this guy is. I want to know why he's smoking a cigar. Just me being me. And then I called him over, and he wouldn't come. So then I was like, psst, psst, psst. And he was like, who, me? And I was like, yeah, come here. And he was like, nah, not coming. And I was like, psst. And then he was like, he looked at me like the stink looked like, what do you want? And he just kept smoking his cigar. So finally, my brother and his friend was like, yo, you're gonna get us killed. This guy doesn't look like he plays. He's like, can you just stop? And I was like, no, because I want to talk to him. So I'm gonna keep doing it until he comes. So they walk off because they're too embarrassed. And I'm just like, fine. So when they're gone, and I'm like, hello, psst, I'm calling you. And I was like, can you come here for a minute? So he walks over real slow with his cigar. And I was like, I was calling you. Why didn't you come? He was like, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. He was like, and you're out there with two men. And I'm like, that's my brother and his friend. He was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you guys want to jump me or something. And I was like, I just want to know who you are. I just want to know why you're outside smoking a cigar. And he was like, because I like it. And I was like, okay. So then we start talking. And me being me, I just started saying anything I wanted to say because I was like, I don't know. I just like to say random things. So I was like, I want something from the store. Go get it. And he was like, what do you mean go get it? I was like, go get it. He was like, isn't that your car? I was like, yeah, but I want you to walk and get it. And then a few choice words came out of his mouth, told me who I thought I was. And then he was like, yeah, that's not gonna happen. We can walk together and get it, but that's not gonna happen. Is that the version you remember?
Pretty much.
Yeah. So that's kind of how we met, and I kind of thought to myself, oh, kind of like a man that has a little backbone. Okay. Told me about myself, kind of like that. I don't know, just kind of lit a little fire. I wasn't like instantly like attracted or anything. I was just like, I like that though, because I was used to men just kind of being like, oh, you want me to get you some food? Okay, let me go get it. But when he started to use those words and tell me about myself and basically try to put me in my place, I was like, okay, this is somebody that I can deal with.
Do I believe in love at first sight? No.
I'm gonna say yes.
Why?
I think it's possible. I think it's very possible. I haven't experienced it, but I believe it's possible. I believe it.
To me, lust at first sight.
Enough to love.
Lust at first sight, I completely believe exists. Love at first sight, no. Sorry, no.
I say yes, but I don't take it literal.
That's what I said. If you felt something, it's probably in between your legs.
Because the way that I love him now, after being together all these years, is not what I felt at that first sight moment, right? Like, so I don't think that love at first sight is possible personally, but I do think that it is possible to feel a connection to somebody, or to feel like a spark, or to feel intrigued by someone or captivated by someone the moment that you meet them.
I do. I'm not saying that's what happened with him, but I do believe in it at first sight.
Love is a choice, right? You have to choose to love somebody. So, I mean, I think you can definitely see somebody and have an initial attraction, initial connection. But I do think that commitment of I'm going to love you is a choice. And I think that really comes with time and getting to know the person and being invested in them and seeing who they are and choosing to love this person.
Did I pray for a wife? No, I did not pray for a wife. Even as I got a wife, I did not pray for a wife. At that stage, I was honestly just, if I saw a girl and she was good looking, I approached her and I talked to her. And the funny story about the situation with dating Crystal is, as soon as her mom found out we were dating, within a month, she had the pastors and me in a boardroom, and they're like, what are your intentions? And that's when I realized, I said, well, my intentions is I actually want to marry her, if that's where things end up.
Me, definitely not, because I grew up in the hood, there was no fathers, and marriage was never a topic when I grew up. It was just like either like a baby mother vibe or a girlfriend vibe, and that was it. So I never ever thought of, I never ever thought of getting married, not one day in my life, until we had discussions, but it was never an option for me.
Yes, actually I did. And I'm not ashamed to say that, because I believe you get to a place in your life where you realize that you can't do it alone. Yeah, but I mean, before I even knew Alicia, like actually got to know her, I was already praying, because I recognized, and sorry, maybe I should just add some context. I grew up in an era where it was almost like an expectation that a man's supposed to get a wife as soon as he recognizes that he has desires or, things of that nature. So there was a lot of like things that I learned, and I grew up with a group of friends who also held those kind of views. So it was kind of something that was like indoctrinated. Like get married.
Get away.
So, but the thing is, I didn't just rush into a relationship with Alicia, right? So I was praying like my face off, if you will. Even when we did get connected and got to know each other, but I was praying because I wanted the Lord to actually, if it was the Lord, I wanted him to like sanction it and make sure that it was something that he wanted. So that's a long-winded answer to say yes, I was praying for a wife, and I was actually being very intentional with what I was asking the Lord for, because I knew that I didn't just want a beautiful woman. I wanted somebody who was beautiful inside and out. Like their spirit was beautiful, their physicality was beautiful, and somebody who actually would love and appreciate who I was and would actually be a help, and I can be a help to them, right? So I'm just giving you some insight into some of the prayers that I went to the Lord about when it came to what I was looking for in a wife.
Aww.
Yeah.
For me, I never prayed for a husband because in my mind, I just always felt like I'm gonna get married. I never worried about that. It was more of what's my life gonna be like. Like I was more praying of I want a good marriage, just because growing up there wasn't a lot of good examples. Like there was a lot of people together, but it wasn't the life I wanted for myself. Like I thought I wanted my marriage to be like, because I like old school music, like Luther Vandross in the house, and she's washing the dishes and he's like dancing behind her, and they're just cleaning together and just melting, singing to each other, whatever. That's kind of what I wanted. But it was like, but I never cared. I never thought of the wedding, could care less, and never thought of oh Lord, send me a man. No, I just wanted a man that loved God but was real and just loved me unconditionally. That was all. So I never ever felt like I prayed for a man.
I did. I definitely did pray for a husband. My journey is interesting because my journey is really interesting because there were situations before in relationships before me and Ricardo that I thought were going to lead up into marriage. But I've learned a lot, and I think not only did I pray for a husband, but I started to prepare myself for a husband and to be a wife. And I think that's also really important because like you can pray for something, but what are you doing to actually get yourself ready for the thing you're praying for? Do you believe God's gonna give it to you? And if you do, okay, what are you doing to get ready for the thing that God is about to give you? And so I had to really figure out, okay, well, what do I really need in terms of a husband opposed to what I want? Because the relationships in the past, they didn't work out, and I felt like maybe it's because I was looking for the wrong things. So I really started to ask God to show me what are the true values that I should be seeking in terms of finding a husband, and help prepare me to identify those things and to respond to those things in the appropriate way, and also show me things inside of me that could affect that relationship, because you could have the right person, but maybe you're not in the right state for that person and it doesn't work out.
Yeah. So how important was my significant other's relationship with God? At the bottom. It wasn't that important. Not until I broke up with my ex in 2012, and because that was the main reason. He wasn't a Christian, and then we became friends, and I'm just like, okay, let's try this Christian relationship out. The guys in my age group and the guys in Sabbath keeping, no offense, were all whack. So it was not even a thought to get with someone that was in church. I figured, like most girls, be a Christian, get someone in the world, bring them over. So it's worked for so many other people. They were not whack as people. They were just whack in terms of men that I would even consider dating. I mean, you know what I mean.
when you have a lot of females and there's like you have with every 10 females in Sabbath keeping especially, there's like 2 guys and one you would even possibly consider getting with, because we're all so close. So yeah.
I can't fight that.
I just think as a believer, if you want to further yourself in God and you want to grow with somebody, it's important for them to have their own walk, because you don't want them to become dependent on you as if like you're a demigod or as if like you're their spirituality. And I think that kind of creates an unfair balance in a relationship.
I didn't want a man that wasn't in church. I didn't need to find him in church, but he needed to be in church, like while we were married. Like I just needed him, and I needed him to have his own relationship with God. And he can tell you, we had those conversations.
How important was for my spouse or my girlfriend at the time to have a relationship with God? A priority for me. A priority for me, and I think we were in different seasons at that time of our lives. I was somewhat of a new convert into, I was a new believer basically. And when you're a new believer, you want to do everything for the Lord and all these other things. And
You were on fire.
I was on fire. So yeah, I actually wanted to kind of just please the Lord in every way that I can. So yeah, it was a high priority for me.
And so our whole courtship process was about, are you the person that really could partner with me in my walk of God? Like, are we compatible spiritually? Do we have the same desire for God? Can we push each other? Can we grow with each other? So for me, it's absolutely essential. It's crucial to have somebody who has their own relationship with God, because ultimately your spouse, you want them to be your kingdom partner. You want to grow with them. You want to push each other, and you want to just help each other be the people that God has created you to be. Amen. And that can only happen to somebody who has their own relationship with Christ.
Yeah, amen.
High fives.
Good answer.
I was in high school, so we were like 16, so the extent of our dating was really like very limited. Like my mom was like pretty strict, and so we weren't really going out all the time and stuff like that. But just in terms of like just having conversations, even just hanging out after school, whatever, there would be, I found that, this person may have had expectations for me to be able to hang out or be on the phone all night, let's say on a Friday night, or hang out on a Saturday or something. And because we like observe the Sabbath and come to church, that wasn't something that I was able to do. And even throughout the week, like I was pretty active in church. It was a big part of my life. I was part of the youth choir and the youth group. So even throughout the week, I'd have choir practice and other different like obligations and commitments. And this other person, like this other guy, never really appreciated that or understood that, or didn't really understand why that was important to me. And I just felt like I spent a lot of energy, even at a young age of 16, I just felt like I spent a lot of energy trying to explain myself and trying to convince him as to why this was like a good thing, and wanting to bring him on board so that he could see kind of why this was so important to me. Hey, why don't you come to church with me, right? Like trying to invite him along. And it just felt like it was so much work involved in kind of bringing this person kind of on board with my values and my beliefs, that I started to feel like it was more work than it was really worth. And maybe because I was so young at the time, I was only 16, and maybe an older person in their 20s might have been able to kind of handle that better. But being only 16, I just kind of felt like this is not working out for me. Like I'm spending too much time trying to convince this person of something.
It was months of me literally going to his house. Every Saturday I would get dressed up, get ready for church, and I would walk over to his house, knock on the door, and he'd open the door in basketball shorts, his do-rag, and his wife beater, and he'd be like, "What's up?" And I'm like, "I thought you were coming." He was like, "Not today." And I'd be like, "Ugh," and I would get in my car and drive off. And then the next week, because he knows how important it is, and every week I thought, one day. He's just gonna open the door. He's gonna be ready to go. And then, this went on for months and months and months. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I'm done. I'm done with this.
Yeah, we had a conversation one day. It was like, she came to my house. She came in the basement.
At this point, how long were we together? Were we dating?
We're dating, yep. It wasn't very long.
Maybe 3-4 months.
Yep. And she was kind of like, you know, I think this is not gonna work because you don't go to church. And I was like, well, I don't go to church, so I don't know what you're gonna do, you know? And she's like, yeah, I don't think it's gonna work out. Maybe we could be friends, but if you're not in church, then I can't take it serious because this is what I'm on, you know? So I still wasn't really like running to church. I was like, oh, well, you know, you made your choice, I made mine. Like at that point, you're kind of wondering, like as a man, it's like, you just kind of expect certain things to work a certain way, but not realizing that women think and operate totally different.
Yep.
So not knowing that, I'm looking at it like I'm doing God's work. Like you should be happy that a guy like me came in from off of the street and has now joined organizations in church to help out. But she was just like, no.
I'm gonna answer the hierarchy what I try to do, but sometimes it flips. So God first, me second, family next, and then ministry last. But sometimes I put myself last and I realize that's not good.
When we were friends, and I mean like real friends, like he was my dude, friends, I told him my plan for my life. I want to have boyfriends, I want to foster some kids when I get like really old, like 40. I also did not want to be locked down in a relationship, i.e. marriage. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And it's not a one-time conversation. We've had this multiple times.
I mean, to your defense, I'm a very forgetful person.
I'll do anything for him. He doesn't want to do it, I'll do it. No questions asked. No big deal to me. We don't have those issues. That whole submission thing in our house, I just feel like we submit to each other.
I agree.
You know, I agree.
I just think whatever needs to be done just has to be done.
Earlier on in my life, he used to say, if you do not want to tear her clothes off, then don't marry her. Like, he's like, that should be a natural desire. He's like, if you're going into the marriage says, I'm not attracted to them, then he's like, something is wrong. It should be a natural thing.
You watching progress over perfection, boy?